What's buried in the forgotten corners of the internet can never truly die. Tonight, we're diving into the abyss of horror stories that most people will never find. Threads that were meant to stay hidden. Testimonies that make you question everything you thought you knew about reality. Before we descend into madness, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button right now. Smash that like button. Because what you're about to hear will haunt you long after this video ends, and you'll want to come back for more. Trust me on that. These aren't your typical creepypastas. These are real accounts from real people, documented in the darkest threads of Reddit, buried under thousands of forgotten posts, waiting for someone brave enough to unearth them. And tonight, that someone is us. So turn off the lights, put on your headphones, and whatever you do, don't look away. Let's begin. There was a house at the end of Elderwood Lane that nobody talked about. You know the type. Every neighborhood has one. The kind of place where the grass grows too tall, where the windows seem to watch you, where something just feels fundamentally wrong. Sarah Mitchell didn't know about the house's reputation when her parents bought it. She was 17, more concerned with her phone than the whispers of locals as their rusty Honda drove past. The house was magnificent, she thought. Victorian architecture, surrounded by evergreen woods, far enough from the other homes to feel private, exclusive. Her mother called it a steal. 2 years of house hunting finally paid off. Her father laughed about the smell, something musty and old that permeated every room. "Smelly gold," he joked. Her 8-year-old sister Lena squealed about having her own room. Her 4-year-old brother Kai pouted because he'd have to sleep alone for the first time. Sarah's mother smiled. "You'll have your own room, honey. Just like you always wanted." Lena had no idea she'd soon regret that wish with every fiber of her being. The first night was quiet, too quiet. Sarah unpacked her belongings in the largest bedroom on the second floor. The room had tall ceilings, ornate molding, and a window that overlooked the forest behind the house. She should have felt lucky. Instead, she felt watched. At 2:17 in the morning, she woke to the sound of footsteps in the hallway. Slow, deliberate footsteps, the kind that suggests someone is trying very hard not to be heard, but failing miserably. Sarah's door was locked. She always locked it. Force of habit from living in apartments where privacy was a luxury. The footsteps stopped outside her door. She held her breath, staring at the shadow beneath the doorframe. 2 feet, standing perfectly still, not moving, just waiting. 1 minute passed, then 2, then 5. When Sarah finally worked up the courage to whisper, "Who's there?" the shadow disappeared. The footsteps resumed, this time descending the stairs with unnatural speed. In the morning, she asked her family about it. Her father shrugged. "Old houses make noise, sweetheart." Her mother suggested it was her imagination. Lena and Kai were too young to have wandered the halls at that hour, but Sarah knew what she heard, and more importantly, she knew what she saw. The shadow had been too tall to be her father, too thin, and it had stood there for exactly 7 minutes, she realized, checking the timestamps on her phone. Who stands outside someone's door for 7 minutes without knocking? By the third night, things escalated. Lena came running into Sarah's room at 4 in the morning, tears streaming down her face, her pink pajamas soaked with sweat. She was shaking so violently that Sarah had to wrap her in a blanket and hold her for 20 minutes before she could speak. "Someone was in my room," Lena finally whispered. standing at the foot of my bed. Just standing there, staring at me. Sarah felt her blood run cold. What did they look like? Lena's eyes went wide with fresh terror. I don't know. It was too dark, but I could see their outline. They were so tall, Sarah, so tall their head almost touched the ceiling, and they didn't move. They just stood there. I called for Mom and Dad, but they didn't come. I called and called and called, but nobody came. Sarah checked Lena's room. Empty. She checked her parents' room. They were sleeping soundly, completely unaware their daughter had been screaming for help. Now, if you're enjoying this story, and I know you are because you're still here, go ahead and drop a like on this video. Let me know in the comments which story is creeping you out the most so far. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? We're just getting started. The next morning, Sarah's father decided to investigate. He was a practical man, an engineer who believed in logical explanations. He checked the foundation for settling. He examined the pipes for water hammer. He even called a pest control company to rule out animals in the walls. Everything checked out. The house was structurally sound. No pipes banging. No rats or raccoons. Nothing that could explain the footsteps or the figure in Lena's room. But Sarah wasn't convinced. That afternoon, while her parents were at the grocery store, she did what any teenager would do in this situation. She started researching the house online. What she found made her wish she'd never looked. Elderwood Lane, house number 7. The Victorian at the end of the road. According to local historical records, the house had been built in 1892 by a wealthy doctor named Marcus Aldrich. He lived there with his wife Catherine and their 3 children. By all accounts, they were a normal, happy family until they weren't. In 1903, Catherine Aldrich disappeared. No note, no goodbye. She simply vanished one autumn morning, leaving behind her children and husband. The official story was that she'd run off with a traveling salesman, abandoning her family for a life of excitement and freedom. But Marcus never believed that story. He spent the next 10 years searching for her, hiring private investigators, posting advertisements in newspapers across the country. He died in 1913, a broken man who'd lost everything. The house changed hands multiple times after that. Each family stayed for a few years before moving on. Nothing suspicious, nothing worth noting in the historical records, until Sarah found the forum post. It was buried on page 47 of a local history discussion board, posted 6 years ago by someone with the username TruthSeeker91. The post was simple, just 2 sentences that made Sarah's hands shake as she read them. Marcus Aldrich didn't lose his wife. He buried her in the basement. We found the bones. Sarah scrolled through the replies. Most were skeptical. Some called the poster a liar. A few asked for proof. But TruthSeeker91 never responded. Their account had been deleted shortly after making the post. Sarah knew she should tell her parents. She knew she should pack her things and demand they leave immediately. But she didn't. Instead, she went to the basement. The basement door was at the end of the kitchen, a heavy oak thing with a brass handle that felt ice cold even in the summer heat. Sarah had only been down there once, on moving day, and she'd hated every second of it. The space was unfinished, just exposed stone walls and a dirt floor that seemed to drink the light from her phone's flashlight. She descended the wooden stairs slowly, each step creaking under her weight. The smell hit her immediately, that same musty odor her father had joked about, but stronger down here, almost overwhelming, like earth and decay and something else she couldn't identify. The basement was smaller than she remembered, just a single room, maybe 20 feet by 20 feet, with a low ceiling that made her feel claustrophobic. There was nothing down here, no furniture, no boxes, just bare stone walls and that awful dirt floor. Sarah was about to leave when she noticed something. In the far corner, the dirt looked different, disturbed, like someone had dug there recently and tried to cover it up. She approached slowly, her phone's light trembling in her hand. The disturbed area was roughly 6 feet long and 3 feet wide, the exact size of a grave. Sarah's phone buzzed, a text from her mother. "We're almost home. Need help carrying groceries?" She typed back a quick response and turned to leave. That's when she heard it. A sound from beneath the dirt. A scraping sound like fingernails on stone. Slow and deliberate. Scratch, scratch, scratch. Sarah ran. She didn't stop running until she was out of the basement, through the kitchen, up the stairs, and locked in her bedroom. Her heart was pounding so hard she thought it might explode. Her hands were shaking so violently she could barely hold her phone. She wanted to convince herself it was pipes, or animals, or anything other than what her mind was screaming at her. But she knew the truth. Something was down there. Something that had been waiting a very long time. Let's pause here for a moment, because I want you to think about something. How well do you really know the place you live? Have you checked the basement? The attic? The spaces between the walls? What if something has been living there, waiting, watching, biding its time? If that thought terrifies you, you're going to want to stick around for what comes next. But first, make sure you're subscribed. Hit that notification bell, because the stories only get darker from here. That night, Sarah told her family everything. Her father was skeptical. Her mother was concerned. But Lena believed her, because Lena had seen things too. The figure in her room had returned every night since they moved in. Always at 4 in the morning. Always standing in the exact same spot at the foot of her bed. Always impossibly tall, impossibly still. Sarah's father, despite his skepticism, agreed to check the basement. He went down with a shovel, determined to prove there was nothing sinister about the disturbed dirt. He was going to dig it up, show them it was probably just where the previous owner had buried trash or old paint cans, and put this nonsense to rest. He started digging at 7 in the evening. By 7:30, he'd hit something hard. Not stone, not wood, something else. By 8 o'clock, he'd unearthed enough to see what it was. A metal box, roughly 3 feet long, rusted and corroded by time and moisture. He pried it open with the shovel. Inside was a journal, leather-bound, water-damaged, but still legible. And on the first page, written in elegant script, were 2 words that made Sarah's father drop the book in horror. Property of Catherine Aldrich. The journal told a story that never made it into the historical records. Catherine hadn't run away. She'd discovered something about her husband, something so terrible that she'd tried to leave. But Marcus couldn't let her go, couldn't let her tell anyone what she'd seen. So he'd killed her, strangled her in their bedroom while the children slept, buried her in the basement beneath 3 feet of dirt, told everyone she'd abandoned them, and he'd spent the next 10 years pretending to search for her, playing the role of the devoted husband, all while knowing exactly where she was, all while visiting her grave in the basement every single night. The journal's final entry was dated the night Catherine died. She'd written it hours before Marcus came for her, as if she'd known what was coming. The last line made Sarah feel sick. He's in the walls. He's always been in the walls. And when I'm gone, he'll still be here, waiting. Sarah's father closed the journal. He looked at his family, his face pale, his hands trembling. "We're leaving," he said. "Tonight. Pack what you can. We're not staying here another minute." But it was already too late. As they climbed the basement stairs, the door at the top slammed shut. The lock clicked. They were trapped. The lights went out. In the darkness, they heard footsteps above them. Slow, deliberate. The same footsteps Sarah had heard that first night. The same footsteps that had stopped outside her door. And then they heard something else. A voice, deep and resonant, echoing through the darkness. "You shouldn't have dug her up. Let me ask you something. Are you brave enough to keep watching? Because what happens next is going to change everything you thought you knew about this story." Drop a comment right now telling me how you'd react in this situation. Would you fight? Would you run? Would you freeze? And make sure that like button is smashed, because you're going to want to remember this video. Sarah's father tried the door. It wouldn't budge. He threw his weight against it. Nothing. It was as if the door had been welded shut from the other side. Her mother was calling for help, screaming for anyone to hear them, but they were too far from the neighbors, too isolated, too alone. Lena and Kai were crying. Sarah was trying to stay calm, trying to think of a way out, but there was no other exit, no windows, no second door, just the stairs and the locked door and the darkness pressing in from all sides. The footsteps above them continued, back and forth, like someone pacing, like someone deciding what to do with them. Then the scratching started again. But this time, it wasn't coming from beneath the dirt. It was coming from behind the walls, all around them, surrounding them. The sound of fingernails on stone, dozens of them, maybe hundreds, scraping and scratching and clawing. Sarah's phone light caught movement in the corner. She turned, and what she saw made her blood freeze. The dirt floor was moving, shifting, rising and falling, like something was breathing beneath it. And in the spot where her father had dug up the journal, a hand emerged, pale, skeletal, reaching upward, then another hand, and another. The dirt erupted as figures pulled themselves from the earth, their movements jerky and unnatural, their faces hidden in shadow. This wasn't just Catherine. This was everyone. Every person who'd ever disappeared in this house. Every secret Marcus had buried. Every truth that had been hidden for over a century. They rose from the ground in silence, surrounding Sarah's family, closing in with slow, inexorable purpose. Sarah's father tried to fight them off. He swung the shovel, but it passed through them like they were made of smoke. Her mother grabbed the children, pulling them close, praying loudly, desperately. But the figures kept coming, closer, closer, until they were close enough to touch. And then they stopped. One of the figures stepped forward. Even in the darkness, Sarah could see it was different from the others. Smaller, more solid. It reached out a hand, and in the dim light of Sarah's phone, she could see a woman's face, beautiful once, now hollow-eyed and sorrowful. Catherine. The woman's mouth moved, but no sound came out. Instead, Sarah heard the voice in her head, clear as day. He's still here, in the walls, in the foundation. He became part of this house when he died, and he'll never let anyone leave. Not you, not your family, not anyone who disturbs what he's hidden. Sarah wanted to scream, wanted to run, wanted to do anything but stand there listening to a dead woman's voice in her mind. But she couldn't move. None of them could. You have to destroy it, Catherine's voice continued. Burn it to the ground. It's the only way to free us, the only way to stop him. The figures began to fade, sinking back into the earth as quickly as they'd risen. Within seconds, they were gone, leaving Sarah's family alone in the basement once more. The door at the top of the stairs clicked. The lock had released. They didn't hesitate. They ran up the stairs, through the house, out the front door, and into their car. Sarah's father drove without stopping, without looking back, until they were miles away from Elderwood Lane. They called the fire department from a motel, told them there was a gas leak at the house. By morning, the Victorian at the end of Elderwood Lane was engulfed in flames. The structure collapsed in on itself, the walls crumbling, the foundation cracking. And as the house burned, witnesses reported seeing figures in the windows, dozens of them, standing and watching. And then, one by one, they disappeared, as if the flames had finally set them free. The Mitchell family never went back. They left everything they owned in that house. They started over in a new city, in a new state, as far from Elderwood Lane as they could get. But Sarah still has nightmares. She still sees Catherine's hollow eyes in her dreams. She still hears that voice. He's still here, in the walls, and sometimes, late at night, she wonders if they really destroyed him, or if he's just waiting, watching, ready to claim his next victims. Now let's shift gears for a moment, because the next story is going to make you question everything you think you know about the people you live with. But before we continue, I need you to do something for me. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Leave a like and drop a comment telling me which story has affected you the most, because what comes next is going to stay with you forever. Michael had the perfect roommate situation. At least that's what he thought when he first moved into the apartment on Fletcher Street. The rent was cheap, the location was convenient, and his roommate, Alex, seemed like a decent guy. Quiet, kept to himself, paid his share of the bills on time. For 6 months, everything was fine. Great, even. They rarely saw each other despite sharing a 2-bedroom apartment. Alex worked nights. Michael worked days. They'd leave notes for each other about groceries and bills and maintenance issues. It was the ideal arrangement for 2 people who valued their privacy. Then Michael's work schedule changed. He started working from home 3 days a week. That's when he started noticing things. Alex was always there. Not sometimes, not often, always. Every single time Michael was home, Alex was there too, sitting on the couch, watching TV. That same straight-backed posture, that same unmoving stillness. At first, Michael thought maybe Alex had lost his job, but when he asked, Alex said no. Everything was fine. He just had flexible hours. Michael accepted this explanation because why wouldn't he? People have flexible schedules. It's not that weird. But then Michael started paying attention. Really paying attention. And that's when he realized something was very, very wrong. Alex never ate. Michael never saw him in the kitchen. Never found dirty dishes in the sink. Never noticed food missing from the fridge. For 6 months, Michael had assumed Alex ate at work or bought his own groceries and kept them separate. But now that he was home more often, he realized Alex simply didn't eat. Ever. Alex never showered. The bathroom Alex supposedly used was always dry. The towels were always in the exact same position. The soap never decreased. It was as if that bathroom existed in a state of permanent disuse. Alex never slept. Michael started staying up late, testing this theory. 2 in the morning, Alex was on the couch watching TV. 4 in the morning, same thing. 6 in the morning, still there. Same position, same show, same unflinching stare at the screen. And the TV. God, the TV. It was always on the same channel. Some channel Michael had never heard of that seemed to play nothing but old sitcom reruns. The Big Bang Theory, Friends, How I Met Your Mother, and Alex never laughed, never reacted, just sat there, absorbing it, that unnatural stillness making Michael's skin crawl. Michael tried to talk to him. "Hey man, you okay? You seem tired. Maybe you should get some sleep." Alex's response was always the same, delivered in that flat, emotionless voice. "I'm fine. Thank you for asking." One night, Michael couldn't take it anymore. He waited until 3 in the morning, then quietly opened his bedroom door. Alex was there, of course, on the couch, staring at the TV. Michael watched him for 10 minutes. Alex didn't blink, didn't shift position, didn't move at all except for the slight rise and fall of his chest. Michael cleared his throat. "Alex, I think we need to talk." Alex's head turned. Not his body, just his head, rotating with mechanical precision until he was looking directly at Michael. The TV's glow reflected in his eyes, making them seem hollow. "Empty. About what?" Alex asked. "About this. About you. You're always here. You never sleep. You never eat. I'm worried about you, man." "There's nothing to worry about," Alex said. "I'm exactly where I need to be." That response should have been reassuring. It wasn't. It sounded like a threat. Michael went back to his room and locked the door. He couldn't explain why he felt the need to lock it. Alex had never been aggressive, never made threatening gestures, but something about him had changed. Or maybe something about him had always been wrong, and Michael was only now seeing it clearly. The next morning, Michael decided to do some research. He started with the lease. Alex's name wasn't on it. Michael had signed the lease alone. He'd found Alex through a roommate finding service, one of those websites where people post rooms for rent and others respond. Michael had interviewed 3 people before choosing Alex, but now, looking back, he couldn't remember much about that interview. Just that Alex had seemed quiet and reliable and had paid 3 months' rent upfront in cash. Michael tried to find the original ad he'd posted. It was gone. Deleted. He tried to find Alex's response. Also gone. He searched his email for any correspondence with Alex. Nothing. It was as if their entire arrangement had been conducted verbally, leaving no digital trail. That's impossible, Michael thought. Everything leaves a digital trail these days. He pulled out his phone and scrolled through his text messages. He'd been texting Alex for 6 months about bills and groceries and apartment stuff. Those messages had to exist. They didn't. His message history with Alex was completely empty. not deleted, just empty, as if they'd never texted at all. Michael felt panic rising in his chest. He went to his bank account, pulling up 6 months of rent payments. The money was there. The transactions existed. But the recipient was listed as AutoPay Building Management, not Alex. Had it always been like that? Michael couldn't remember. He needed proof that Alex was real, that this wasn't some elaborate delusion. He grabbed his laptop and opened Facebook. He'd never friend requested Alex because they were just roommates, but surely Alex had a profile. Everyone had a profile. He searched. Alexander, Alex, every possible variation of the name. He tried Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, nothing. No social media presence at all. Michael was about to close his laptop when he noticed something. In his Facebook photos, there was an album from his birthday party 2 months ago. Several friends had come over. They'd taken photos. He clicked through them, and there, in the background of one photo, was Alex, sitting on the couch. Same position, same blank stare. Michael sent the photo to 3 friends who'd been at the party. "Did you meet my roommate that night?" he asked. "The one in the background of this photo?" The responses came within minutes. "What roommate? I thought you lived alone. There's nobody in the background of this photo. Are you feeling okay?" Michael looked at the photo again. Alex was right there, clear as day, sitting on the couch behind everyone else. But according to his friends, the couch was empty. Listen, I know this sounds crazy. I know you're probably thinking Michael was losing his mind, but stay with me, because this is where things get truly terrifying. And if you're not subscribed yet, now is the time. Hit that button. Ring that notification bell. You don't want to miss what happens next. Michael decided to test something. He set up his phone to record video in the living room, hiding it behind some books on a shelf. Then he went to his room and closed the door. 2 hours later, he retrieved the phone and watched the footage. Alex was there on the couch, motionless, staring at the TV. But here's what made Michael's blood run cold. The TV wasn't on. The screen was black. But Alex was staring at it anyway, watching nothing. That same focused intensity as if something was playing. And every 30 seconds, like clockwork, canned laughter erupted from the TV's speakers, even though the screen remained dark. Michael watched the entire 2 hours of footage. Alex never moved. The TV never turned on. But the laughter continued. Regular, mechanical, wrong. That night, Michael packed a bag. He was going to stay with a friend. He was going to figure out what to do about Alex from a safe distance. He was going to contact the landlord, maybe the police, maybe a priest. He didn't know. He just knew he couldn't stay there anymore. As he headed for the door, Alex spoke. "You're leaving." It wasn't a question. Michael turned. Alex was standing now, which Michael had never seen him do. He was tall, much taller than Michael remembered. His head nearly touched the ceiling. "Just for a few days," Michael said, trying to keep his voice steady. "I need some space." Alex tilted his head, that mechanical movement again, like a puppet controlled by invisible strings. "I'll be here when you get back." Those words, the same words he always said. But this time, they sounded different. They sounded like a promise, like a guarantee, like a threat. Michael ran. He didn't look back. He got in his car and drove to his friend's apartment across town. He stayed there for 3 days, trying to figure out his next move. On the 4th day, he went back to the apartment. He had to. All his stuff was there. His clothes, his laptop, his important documents. He couldn't just abandon everything. The apartment was exactly as he'd left it, spotless, quiet, and empty. Alex wasn't on the couch. For the first time in 6 months, the living room was vacant. Michael felt a wave of relief wash over him. Maybe Alex had finally left. Maybe this nightmare was over. He went to his bedroom and started packing his belongings into boxes. He'd break the lease, lose his deposit. He didn't care. He just wanted out. As he was packing, he heard it. That sound. The TV turning on in the living room. The canned laughter of some sitcom. Michael walked slowly to his bedroom door and peered out. Alex was back on the couch. Same position, same stillness, as if he'd never left. But here's the thing. Michael had been in the apartment for 20 minutes. He'd walked through the living room. It had been empty. He was sure of it. So where had Alex been? And more importantly, where had he come from? Michael approached slowly. "Alex," he said, "we need to talk, really talk. I need you to tell me the truth. Are you real?" Alex's head turned. That same mechanical precision, that same hollow stare. "I'm as real as you need me to be." That answer didn't make sense. Michael tried again. "Where do you go when you're not here? Where do you sleep? What do you eat?" "I'm always here," Alex said. "I never leave. This is where I belong." Michael felt his frustration building. "That's not possible. You have to leave sometimes. You have to sleep. You have to eat. You're human." "Am I?" Alex asked. And for the first time, something like emotion crossed his face. A smile. Small. Unsettling. "Are you sure about that?" Michael backed away. He wanted to run again, but he needed answers. "What are you?" Alex stood. That impossible height. That wrong proportion. He took a step toward Michael. "I'm the space between. The thing that fills the gaps. Every apartment has one. Every house. Every place where people live but don't really see each other. We exist in those blind spots, those moments of inattention, and we stay as long as we're needed." Michael's back hit the wall. "This isn't real. You're not real." Alex took another step. "Then why can you see me? Why can you hear me? Why have you been paying rent to someone who doesn't exist?" That question broke something in Michael's mind. He'd been paying rent to Alex for 6 months. Half the monthly payment. Handed over in cash on the first of every month. Hundreds of dollars. Thousands, if he added it up. Where had that money gone? Who had he really been giving it to? Michael ran to his room and grabbed his phone. He called the landlord. "I need to ask you something. My roommate, Alex, is his name on the lease?" There was a pause. "You don't have a roommate. You're the only person listed as living at that address. But I've been paying rent for 2 people. Half to you, half to him." Another pause, longer this time. "You've been paying full rent directly to us every month. There is no other payment. There is no other person." Michael hung up. He looked at his bank records again. The landlord was right. Full rent payments, every month, directly to the building management. So who had he been giving cash to? Where had that money gone? And more importantly, who the hell was in his apartment? He walked back to the living room. Alex was gone again. But the TV was still on, still playing that canned laughter, that empty sitcom humor for an audience of no one. Michael grabbed his boxes and left. He never went back. He broke the lease, lost his deposit, didn't care. He moved in with his friend permanently, splitting the rent, grateful to have a roommate he could verify actually existed. But sometimes, late at night, he still hears it. The sound of a TV playing in another room. The sound of canned laughter. The sound of something sitting very still, watching, waiting. And he wonders if Alex is still there, still sitting on that couch, still waiting for the next person to move in. The next person who needs a roommate so badly they don't ask enough questions. The next person who won't notice until it's too late. Before we continue, I want you to take a moment and really think about your own living situation. Do you live alone? Are you sure? Do you have roommates? Have you verified they're actually real? Have you actually seen them eat, sleep, leave the apartment? If any of this is making you uncomfortable, good. That means you're paying attention. Now hit that like button, drop a comment, and for the love of everything holy, make sure you're subscribed, because the final story is going to destroy you. Emma thought she was being careful. She'd read all the articles about staying safe online. She never shared her real address, never posted photos that could reveal her location, never accepted friend requests from strangers. But she made one mistake. Just one. And it cost her everything. It started with a dating app. Emma was 26, single, living in a small apartment in the city. She'd tried dating apps before with mixed results, but she was giving it another shot. This time, she matched with someone named David. Handsome profile picture, well-written bio, seemed normal enough. They chatted for 2 weeks before agreeing to meet for coffee. The coffee date went well. David was charming, funny, attentive. They talked for 3 hours. At the end, they agreed to a second date. The second date was dinner, then a third date, a movie, a fourth date, a walk in the park. By the fifth date, Emma thought she might be falling for this guy. He seemed perfect. Too perfect, maybe. But Emma pushed that thought away. She deserved something good. She deserved happiness. On the sixth date, David suggested they go back to his place. Emma agreed. She'd been careful. They'd been dating for over a month. She felt safe with him. David's apartment was nice, clean, minimalist. They had wine. They talked. And then David excused himself to the bathroom. Emma was alone in the living room. She pulled out her phone, scrolling through social media while she waited. Then she noticed David's laptop on the coffee table, still open, still unlocked. She shouldn't have looked. She knew she shouldn't have. But curiosity got the better of her. She glanced at the screen. What she saw made her blood freeze. The laptop was open to a folder, and that folder contained hundreds of photos of her, photos she'd never seen before, photos taken from a distance. Emma walking to work, Emma at the grocery store, Emma through her apartment window, photos from before they'd matched on the dating app. Photos from months before they'd ever spoken. Emma's hands shook as she scrolled through the folder. There were more than photos. There were documents, pages and pages of information about her. Her full name, her address, her work schedule, her social security number, her bank account information, her family members' names and addresses. Everything. David knew everything about her, and he'd known it long before they'd ever matched online. The bathroom door opened. Emma closed the laptop and tried to act normal, but her face must have given her away because David stopped in the doorway, his expression changing from friendly to something else. Something cold. "You looked," he said. It wasn't a question. Emma stood up. "Who are you? Why do you have all those pictures of me?" David smiled. That charming smile that had fooled her for weeks. "I'm someone who appreciates you. Someone who's been watching over you. Protecting you." "Protecting me?" Emma's voice rose. "You've been stalking me. You've been following me. You manipulated me into dating you." David took a step closer. "I prefer to think of it as orchestrating our meeting. We were meant to be together, Emma. I knew it the first time I saw you. I just needed to make sure you knew it too." Emma backed toward the door. "This is insane. I'm leaving. I'm going to the police." David's expression hardened. "I wouldn't do that if I were you. You see, I know everything about you. Everything. I know where you live, where you work, where your mother lives, your brother, your best friend Katie. I know all of their routines, their schedules, their vulnerabilities." The threat was clear. Emma felt tears streaming down her face. "What do you want from me?" "I want you to sit down," David said calmly. "I want you to listen, and I want you to understand that you belong to me now. We can do this the easy way or the hard way, but either way, you're not leaving." Emma made a choice in that moment. She pretended to comply. She sat down on the couch. She let David talk, explain his twisted logic, his obsession that had started 6 months ago when he'd seen her at a coffee shop and decided she was the one. And while he talked, she texted, one-handed, without looking at her phone, hoping her muscle memory was good enough, hoping the message would go through, hoping someone would see it and understand. Help. David apartment. Danger. Location sharing on. She'd enabled location sharing with Katie months ago. One of those safety features she'd set up and forgotten about. Now, it might save her life. 20 minutes later, there was a knock at the door. "Police. We got a call about a disturbance." David's face went pale. He looked at Emma. "What did you do?" Emma ran for the door, wrenched it open, practically fell into the hallway. The police took her statement, arrested David, found the folder on his laptop, found other folders, other women, dozens of them. Some he'd dated, some he'd only watched, some who'd never known he existed. Emma was lucky. She got out. But it took months of therapy, months of looking over her shoulder, months of jumping at shadows, months of wondering if David had accomplices, if someone else was watching her now. And the scariest part? David had seemed so normal, so perfect, so exactly what she'd been looking for, because he'd made himself that way. He'd studied her, learned her preferences, molded himself into her ideal partner. How many others are out there doing the same thing? How many people are being watched right now by someone they haven't even met yet? How many perfect matches are actually perfect monsters? Emma doesn't date anymore, doesn't use apps, doesn't trust easily. And every time she sees someone looking at their phone on the street, she wonders, are they texting a friend? Or are they documenting someone's movements, adding to a folder, planning their approach? The internet has made us all visible, all accessible, all vulnerable. And some people are very, very good at exploiting that. Now I want you to do something for me before we wrap this up. I want you to check your phone settings. Check which apps have access to your location. Check your privacy settings on social media. Check who can see your posts, your photos, your information. Because the scariest thing about Emma's story isn't that it happened. It's that it happens every single day. To people who think they're being careful, to people who think they're safe, the internet doesn't forget. And the people who watch from the shadows, they're patient, they're thorough, and they're everywhere. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you've hit that like button. Drop a comment telling me how these stories affected you. Because next time, we're going deeper, darker, into the threads that should have stayed buried forever. Thanks for watching, and remember, lock your doors, check your windows, and maybe, just maybe, reconsider how much of yourself you share online. Sleep well, if you can.